like late January. It's Sunday morning, usually go and work out in the garage gym early in the morning. My wife has her workout. I have mine. We have two garages right now for the business. So she'll do her workout. I'll do cardio in the second garage. Then I'll transfer over and do weights or resistance training in the garage she's in. So she's home already. So I work out and I'm like, man, I felt a little stiff this morning, but I'm having like the best workout I had in a long time. Famous last words. So I go back home. I said, my back's a little stiff. So let me get on the inversion table and see if my back is going to decompress. So it didn't seem to work, but I've been here before. Back goes out 2, 3 times a year. It might happen even to the best of us who don't bump around like I used to.
Sure.
Your back just goes out. So I recorded the SmackDown review of Ben Hameen for Vince Russo's channel. I'm sitting right in this chair. I'm editing some video. And then I just go like this and I can't move. Like it's not just getting up and going, oh, I'm stiff, and you're kind of hunched over a little bit, and then you stand up straight eventually. I can't move.
It was
My wife
that
comes home.
that immediate. That was it.
It just like a switch flipped.
Well,
So I'm just sitting in this chair and I text my wife, I think, and I said, I can't move. She had already, I think, come through the door, and it was just timed that way. She tries to pick me up. And my wife's like 5'1". I'm like 6'2". At the time, I'm almost 216 pounds. It's going to be hard to leverage me up when she's that short and I'm sitting down. And it just, when she grabbed me under my arms and tried to lift me up, it was the most excruciating, like my back was locked out beyond anything I ever experienced. So eventually she got me up, got me in the bed, laying on a heating pad, and I can't even move from bed now. She runs out, gets a walker. Dude, this is 3 hours after one of the best workouts I had in months. To a walker 3 hours later is just insanity, frightening, terrifying. And all I could hope for was, okay, my lower back kind of hit a wall. I'm going to need fusion surgery. Every wrestler, football player, athlete is faced with a countdown of when is my body going to get to a point where I'm going to need a major surgery. I thought I was there, but I still have never experienced like muscle spasms, locking out. I'm talking about constant pain to the point where I'm crying. So we go to the chiropractor thinking maybe I just need traction adjustment. It exacerbates it. It makes it worse. And now, like the walker, I'm getting weak on the walker and I'm almost needing a wheelchair at this point. Not that I'm paralyzed. My back is just so flared up or inflamed or whatever you want to call it, that my legs cannot support the pain. So I wasn't numb. I had no sciatica. It went like this, going to pain clinics, like spinal clinics, pain management. They don't see anything. Your spine looks fine. Your vertebrae look okay. Nothing looks like it's causing this. 2.5 weeks of just lying in bed, 24/7 pain, no sleep, not eating, not able to drink, can't even hug my wife. Everything, just reach out like this hurts. We finally go to the first hospital here where we live in Florida. Not very good experience. I'm not going to get into detail, but we went there to the emergency room twice. They didn't have a diagnosis either. We go to the Mayo Clinic in Jacksonville, and long story short, we get in there finally, because initially we had an appointment for 3 weeks from our visit. That wasn't Ben. I don't know. I mean, people can say it's over dramatic or whatever. At the rate I was going, I didn't know if I was going to survive that long.
sure.
It just was, or whatever quality of life I was going to not have. So we beg and plead. My wife gets on the phone with them. Finally, like we get them to get eyes on me at this point in a wheelchair. And once the doctor saw me, he goes, I don't have to see anymore. We don't have to get films or anything. We're admitting you. So we went to the emergency room, got admitted, and they started doing tests. And he goes, I think you have an infection on your spine. And I said, well, how did that happen? He goes, well, we don't know, and we can't think of anything. So, but we have to do a biopsy, which means we have to literally hammer a needle, a wider needle into your spine, and then take a needle and take a piece of your vertebrae, your disc, all that stuff to get cultures and samples for infectious disease, which Mayo Clinic, by the way, probably the best hospital I ever been to in my life. They have an infectious disease unit in the hospital that
Wow.
everybody from around the country sends it to them. So we really lucked
So
out by
you
going
couldn't have, you couldn't have been in a better place then, could you?
for a turnaround for results, not having to ship off the samples, the cultures. Absolutely. We were blessed. God was definitely, and that's going to be a theme you and I will discuss, I'm sure.
Sure.
God was working in certain ways that in the first hospital where they were trying to diagnose me with constipation, which I don't know, and I don't know an instance where constipation has paralyzed people or
Yeah.
made them not be able to walk. God bless you if you have that kind of problem with your
Yeah.
stomach, but I didn't have it. Mayo Clinic would have me there. We were there, and they admitted me. They were doing tests. They were trying to figure out what was going on. The spine biopsy, Ben, I have to say, was the on top of the infection, the most painful procedure I ever had. Because the infection was so present and so powerful, they couldn't give me enough medication to kill the pain. So I felt every last inch, centimeter of those needles, and he was hammering, and he was like, "We've given you the max allowable limit of painkillers. You should be in twilight right now and not even remember this." So that's not because I'm Superman. That's because the infection was Superman. So they get that. And then after about 48 hours, the only thing that really grew was streptococcus. But they still weren't quite sure what it was. But they started me on broad spectrum antibiotics as I was in the hospital, which was great because as soon as they started administering those, it went from like a pain level of 20 down to like a pain level of 9 to 10, which is a lot, but I could function a little bit. I could sleep maybe 2 to 3 hours a night. I could do a little bit more.
So
And
I guess by this point, Stevie, what are we on, week 4 of severe
we're
pain?
about on week 3.5, week
Week three,
4 of
yeah,
when
yeah.
it hit me.
So
Yeah.
I guess to get that relief, even though the pain is still incredibly pronounced,
But now we have at
it's got to
least
be,
we have a treatment, we have a
yeah,
therapy. How it happened, Ben, who knows? But if I'm improving and they can find something, the cultures will continue to grow. We're on to something. So they started administering that through IV, and then right before I was discharged, you saw maybe the video where they installed a PICC line where they put the line near my heart, and they could administer these push antibiotics from home. So at least I was going home, and my wife, God bless her, was administering these push antibiotics, which we had to be really careful about. We put up a video about that. You have to keep everything sterile, and it's hard in a regular home, not knowing where an infection came from. So we cleaned everything. We made sure there was a lot of fear and a lot of things that need to be done. So they still didn't quite know what was going on until they asked us something about animal bites. And I said, "Oh my God, I remember I got bit by my friend's dogs, both of them. Either one bit me on the lip, one bit me on the leg. Something spooked them out, and they just jumped up and they went nuts. And thank God they bit me and not my wife or my friend or a neighborhood kid because they would have possibly gotten an infection.
yeah.
So they surmised that maybe it came from that. But
Wow,
I
okay.
was like 7, 8 months, and he was like, "Well, because you work out so much and you're so fit and you take care of yourself, your body was literally fighting this infection." And here's a point that really drives it home, Ben, and it might make me emotional. He said, "If this was anybody else, the speed the infection moved at once it hit your spine, most people, it probably went up to their brain within weeks." He goes, "Thank God you came here. Thank God we caught it. But the difference between the CT scan from a week ago to now, this thing ate away at more than half your spine in a week." So I was like, "Wow." He goes, "It would have killed you," which once again,
Yeah,
like right in the nick of time.
thank God, literally, you were exactly where you needed to be when you needed to be there.
And you look at it like, hey, we were quite honestly been maybe satisfied initially with if a spine surgeon said you need fusion or we need this or we need that, but it would have actually delayed the actual correct diagnosis and treatment. And also, if I had gotten cut open, one of the side effects of surgery, possible side effect, right?
Yeah,
Infection.
yeah, absolutely.
The infection
Yeah.
would have spread like wildfire throughout my body. So thank God. But at the time, we thought
Mm.
this is a nightmare. But looking back, it was like it happened exactly how it needed to happen to get me as well as I could be as quick as possible.